Today I would be talking about sonnet. Sonnet is a poetic form which originated at the court of Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II in Sicily. The 13th century poet Lantini is credited with the sonnet's invention, and the Sicilian school of poets who surrounded him is credited with its spread. But the original Sicilian sonnets are no more available now. They have not survived because they have been translated into different dialects and they are no more there. However, sonnets in their very form, have been adopted throughout the world, and the main countries who have adopted this form of sonnets and the poets from these countries on whom these sonnets are named are named as Italian sonnets, as it has been greatly adopted by Italy and rediscovered in their own form. Dante has adopted this form and has explored this form very well, and Petrarch, who is another Italian poet who has also adopted this form and explored the sonnets of this form very well. Then we can say that there are many other countries as well, as like in Czech literature. In the beginning of the 19th century, the Czech sonneteer was Jan Koller, who wrote cycles of sonnets, and he has written numbers of sonnets and explored this form of writing poem. And then in Dutch also we could see famous example of Mijin Leaf, and then in English language, of course, the various sonnets written by Shakespeare, or in the form of Petrarchan sonnets, the Italian sonnet, various sonnets have been written by English writers. And Shakespeare is one among them. Then we have Milton, we have Thomas Gray, we have William Wordsworth, we have Elizabeth Bennet Browning, and then we could see that they have adopted two types of form. There are two types of form which have been adopted by the writers of the sonnets, by the poets of the sonnets, and one is Shakespearean form and another is Petrarchan form. Shakespearean form, as we say, has 3 4-line stanzas and 1 2-line stanza, and it has a rhyming scheme of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and then we have G, G. So in this way it forms 14 lines, and we can trace Shakespearean sonnets at various places. He has not only written various sonnets which are there in the form of poetry, but he has written many sonnets in between his dramas also. We can see such examples in Romeo and Juliet. Then we can see such examples in Henry V, where whether in prologue or in epilogue, such type of sonnet is there. Then as we have said, there are Spenserian forms of sonnets, and this form has AB, AB, BC, BC, CD, CD, EE. It has the same stanza pattern, but the rhyme scheme is different. So Spenser has also explored the form of sonnet. Then in 17th century we see metaphysical poets like John Donne, George Herbert. They have also explored this form of sonnets. Then John Milton, who has written many sonnets, and like his famous sonnet, When I Consider How My Life is Spent, is or on his blindness, is a very famous sonnet by John Milton. Then we have periods of Restoration, French Revolution, when such type of sonnets were coming. Then Shakespeare was writing upon Westminster's Bridge, The World is Too Much with Us, London 1802. Then Keats was writing, Shelley was writing. So they have written also many poems. Then Elizabeth Barrett Browning was writing sonnets. So then we have George Meredith, who has a collection of sonnets. So in this way we can see that in English language also there are ample number of sonnets written. Even until 20th century we see William Butler Yeats writing about Leda and Swan, and then we have W.H. Auden, who is also writing on who is also adopting the form of sonnets in his poems. And we see that they like the modern poets like W.V. Yeats and W.H. Auden, they have also adopted the sonnet form for their poetry. And in when we talk of English poems, we have to we can talk of American poetry as well. And American poetry like Edgar Allan Poe and various others, like they have also adopted sonnet form. And we have Robert Frost, and then we have E. Cummings, who have written sonnet, who have written poems in the form of sonnet, and these poems are very very popular, and these poems are very well accepted with the readers. And one thing which we can understand, whoever adopts a form of sonnet for writing poetry, or a form of 14 lines for writing poetry, or a form of 3-4 line stanzas and 1-2 line stanza, or an octave and a sestet to write a poem, has a method in mind. And that method is, in the initial stages, a problem or a complexity or an idea is put before the readers, and while the sonnet progresses, by the end that idea takes a shape, or takes a theory, or takes a message from the poet, or it is resolved if complexity is there by the end. So this sonnet, the form of sonnet, is adopted deliberately by these poets to further explore the writing skills of poetry. Thank you.